Greetings, carnivores, and welcome back. I'm Dougie the Butcher, and this is Carnivore Confidential. These are crazy times that we're living in. COVID-19 has hit the meat processing industry very hard all across the country, in Canada and the US and all around the world, I'm sure, but I'm keenly aware of what's going on in Canada and the US because that's where our supply chain is. We typically sell nothing but AAA Canadian beef out of Alberta, but we've had to source a lot of our beef from the States, USDA, out of the States, just simply because of supply and demand. We simply can't get our hands on the volume or the quantity of stuff that we usually have. And as a result, supply is shortened, demand is high, and pricing obviously follows. So plain and simple, if supply is low and demand is high, price goes up. Simple as that. So I mean, we're seeing crazy prices these days for things that were, 3 months ago, much more reasonable. Case in point, the eye of round that I bought to make my jerky video a few months back, I paid almost less than $25 for that whole piece of meat. Whole eye of rounds are selling for $60 and up right now. I mean, that's just outrageous. So I don't have to tell you that, if supply and demand is the ruling factor for pricing these days, then anything that's in low supply right now, such as a lot of the beef cuts that we usually get for our store, then, pricing is going to follow and the consumer has to bear his share of that. So prices have just been goofy lately. Hopefully when and if things get back to normal, this may be our new normal, who knows? But when and if things do get back to normal, hopefully we'll see these prices self-adjust and come back down to somewhere more reasonable. $15 to $19 a kilo for strip loins as opposed to $29 to $32 a kilo for strip loins. I mean, it's just silly. So today, I wanted to talk to you about a little-known muscle that years ago we used to pretty much just grind because it has a really thick piece of tendon or gristle running through the entire muscle. I'm going to show it to you. It's called the top blade, or in a restaurant, you'll see it called a flat iron steak. But it has a really, really tough piece of gristle that runs the entire length of this muscle. And like I said, we used to grind it, or it wasn't, I mean, if you cross cut it like this, you've got a nice piece of meat on the top and a nice piece of meat on the bottom, and this horrible piece of gristle that runs through the center of it. But when we figured out that we could take this out, clean up all the silver skin and the bone felt off the back, and take this piece of gristle out, what you're left with is two incredibly tender pieces of meat called the flat iron off the top blade. And it has a nickname of the butcher's steak because it rarely gets put into the counter for sale to the public. I mean, we used to fight over who took them home. So let's get busy. I'm going to show you how to clean this up, take that piece of gristle out, and have one awesome, awesome steak. This is, in many people's opinion, this is second only in tenderness to the tenderloin, the filet mignon. I don't really share that opinion. It's very, very tender, but I don't really share that opinion. And as you can see, like I said before, we've had to source this from the States. This actually came out of California. Just because we simply can't get our hands on the stuff that we usually sell to put in our case. So the buyers have been buying whatever they can get their hands on, and they got a whole bunch of top blades, and we're putting them in the counter as top blade steaks or flat irons. But let's get busy. I'll show you how to do this. All right, let's get after it. I have removed it from the bag. I've dried it off. I forgot to mention that this particular piece of meat was a grand total of $38.33. It weighs in at a whopping 2.2 kilos, which is roughly 5 pounds. And the price per kilo is $16.99 per kilo. Keep in mind what I said before about how this thing is considered the second most tender muscle on the carcass. And considering tenderloin is upwards of $35 and higher right now, this is quite a bargain. What do you think, baby? Bargain? Bargain. All right, so let's get after it. Gonna glove up. And safety first. And I'm not sure what I'm going to use today, but we'll get a number of knives ready. Okay, so like I said, a lot of silver skin. And on the other side, this is where the scapula or the blade bone used to be, and this is what's called bone felt, or some people call it bone connective tissue, whatever. All this has to go. So let's just get after it. You want to stick your knife in here and just slide it underneath and then come back the other way towards you. Be careful because you're cutting towards yourself. You want to get all of this off. Just like you would when you're skinning a piece of fish. You know, try and take as little meat as possible. And that's the bottom side right there of one of the flat irons. There's another tendon right here, sorry, muscle right here, seam. You can see that seam. So we're going to take that out. And again, we're going to follow this down. Just like so. I wouldn't normally keep this stuff for grinding just because of the bone felt and the silver skin is not very nice. I'm going to take this off as well. It's not very nice for grinding just because of the nature of the silver skin and the bone felt. I am going to, however, I'm going to fry this up and give it to my dogs. They'll thank me for it. Hang on, I'm going to get rid of my glasses. All right, so that's the bone felt. Let's get after this one. The same way. Again, be careful because you're cutting towards yourself, right? See? This really is quite easy to do, folks. I know I'm probably going a lot faster than you normally would, but you don't have to do this quickly. This is actually the easy part, taking this silver skin off of here. The hard part is getting after that tendon. As you can see, it starts right here and it goes all the way down. So, working this way so that I can see what I'm doing, you want to just expose that tendon. And the same way you would a piece of fish, going to just get after that tendon and slide the knife along the top of it, like so. And if you end up going through a bit of it, that's okay. You can take it off the other side. And here's that tendon. Let me turn this around so you can see what I'm doing. You just want to slide that knife underneath that tendon and get it out of there. Whoopsie. And then come on back towards yourself. You want to get all of it out. Like so. Another little bit of it there. Ladies and gentlemen, one flat iron steak, or as we like to call them, a butcher's steak. The same for the other side. And you want to get all that tendon. Okay, what we are left with are two beautiful flat iron steaks. Arguably the second most tender muscle on the entire carcass. Again, I wouldn't grind this because it wouldn't make nice ground beef, although there is some bits that I could take off and make ground beef out of. But I think my my dogs are going to be the benefactors of this. Okay, so to recap, it's called a top blade. Oh, I was going to do something else. All right, so one other thing you could do with this is rather than take the entire tendon out, but rather than cut it in half like I did and to separate the two pieces, you could take that tendon out and leave these two pieces whole, these two pieces connected. Then what you can do is you can stuff this with whatever you like. Asparagus and goat cheese. I like mushroom ragu. You roll it up like this. Oh, sorry, that's because you'd be cutting it against the grain if you did that. So you'd roll it, you'd stuff it this way and then roll it like this and tie it. And that would be a roast for Sunday dinner like you have never had before. So that's it in a nutshell, quick and sweet this week. Come on back next Thursday for another video. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe to my new channel. I'm Dougie the Butcher. This is Carnivore Confidential, and stay hungry, folks. We'll see you next week.